On my anniversary day, July 17th, I woke up before sunrise and stared at the ceiling for almost an hour. The house was quiet, but my mind wasn't. For months, my wife and I had been drifting apart. We weren't the couple people thought we were. We smiled in family photos, posted anniversary pictures online, and told everyone we were doing fine. But behind closed doors, things were different. Conversations turned into arguments. Small disagreements turned into days of silence. We still loved each other, but somewhere along the way, life had become louder than our relationship. When I finally got out of bed, I noticed her side of the mattress was empty. I walked into the kitchen and found a folded note sitting beside the coffee maker. My stomach tightened immediately. For a second, I just stared at it. I didn't want to open it because I was afraid I already knew what it said. The thought that this could be the end of our marriage crossed my mind before I even touched the paper. Finally, I picked it up and unfolded it. Be ready at 5 p.m. Trust me, don't call me. That was all. No explanation, no signature, nothing else. I checked every room in the house. Her car was gone. Her phone went straight to voicemail. The entire day felt like torture. Every hour felt longer than the one before it. I tried distracting myself by cleaning the garage. Didn't work. I tried watching television. Couldn't focus. I even went for a drive, but I spent most of the time imagining every possible scenario. Maybe she wanted to meet somewhere public because she was planning to leave me. Maybe she had already made up her mind weeks ago. Maybe this anniversary wasn't a celebration at all. By the time 5 p.m. arrived, my nerves were completely shot. Right on time, a black SUV pulled into the driveway. A driver stepped out and handed me an envelope with my name written across the front. Inside was an old photograph. It was a picture of my wife and me from our first date 12 years earlier. We looked ridiculously young. I was wearing a shirt that didn't fit. She was laughing at something I'd said. On the back of the photograph were 4 words. Let's start from here. The driver opened the passenger door and motioned for me to get in. Without saying a word, he drove me across town. About 20 minutes later, we stopped in front of the tiny coffee shop where my wife and I first met. I hadn't been there in years. The place looked almost exactly the same. The same brick wall, the same wooden table, even the same bell above the front door. When I walked inside, a waitress smiled and handed me another envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. You were 23 minutes late. I immediately laughed. She was right. I had been late because I'd spent 15 minutes trying to decide which shirt to wear. The letter went on to describe every detail of our first meeting. How nervous I looked. How hard I tried to impress her. How I accidentally knocked over my coffee and spilled it all over myself. How she knew before the date was over that she wanted to see me again. For the first time in months, I smiled without forcing it. The SUV took me to another location, then another, and another. Each place represented a chapter of our life together. The park where we shared our first kiss. The bridge where I told her I loved her. The apartment where we spent our first year as a married couple. The hospital where we held our daughter for the first time. At every stop, another envelope waited. Another memory. Another reminder. Another piece of the life we'd built together. One letter talked about the night we slept on the floor because we couldn't afford furniture. Another described how we ate cheap noodles for nearly 2 weeks after unexpected bills wiped out our savings. One letter made me laugh so hard I had tears in my eyes. It was about a road trip where we got lost for 6 hours because I refused to ask for directions. Another made me cry. It described the day my father passed away. I remembered standing in the rain outside the hospital feeling completely broken. She had wrapped her arms around me and refused to let go. The letter ended with a sentence I'll never forget. You never had to carry your pain alone because I promised I would help carry it with you. By this point, I was already emotional, but the night wasn't over. As the sun began setting, the SUV drove me toward a lake just outside the city. The sky was painted orange and gold. The water looked like glass. At the end of a wooden dock stood a small restaurant covered in hundreds of tiny lights. The entire place had been reserved. My heart started racing. And then I saw her, standing at the end of the dock, waiting for me. She was wearing the same color dress she'd worn on our first anniversary. For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. I walked toward her slowly. Neither of us said anything.